Hello everybody and welcome to the table. So today we're checking out a new knife from Monterey Bay Knives, and this might be one of the most useful knives you end up owning. And the reason why I say that is because the most useful knife you own is going to be the one that you actually carry with you on a day-to-day basis. So when you need a knife, it's going to be in there in your pocket, ready to go. So this right here, the WPK, stands for watch pocket knife because it's very small. As you can see in hand, it is meant to inhabit that fifth pocket on your jeans, your so-called watch pocket, so that way you can carry this with you wherever you go, being very small, very lightweight, and meant to not intrude on that very precious pocket space that you have. But what they brought us here is a really cool design with some great materials. And at a price that, I think is respectable given what we're getting here value-wise. So let's take a quick look at the specs of this knife, because of course it is very small. On video, it's even kind of hard to describe how tiny it is, but let's go ahead and pull out the ruler so you can get an idea here, because the overall length of this knife, let's hold it up next to the ruler, you can see we're at about 4.5 inches of overall length. Our blade length is not even 2 inches, that's more like 1 3/4 inch blade. And it's a very small knife. So weight-wise, it also does not weigh very much. For a knife with these titanium handles, we are coming in at, 1.3 ounces. So pretty lightweight for what we're getting here. So the idea is you throw it in your pocket and you forget that it's there, until needed. So the blade steel is actually kind of nice for what we're getting here too. This is no budget knife. This is an S90V steel blade. And we can see the entire knife has this really dark stonewash finish to it. So that's pretty well done. All the hardware is this nice satin polish. So it kind of stands out, gives some contrast there. So interesting blade. And what's also nice about it too, for some jurisdictions, this is a non-locking folder. So this is a slip joint knife. Not the traditional slip joint with a back spring on it, but this is one of those double detent slip joints. So we can see that when the knife opens, there is a detent to keep it open, but you can just easily push it right shut again. So assuming you're using this knife as a pocket knife in the correct direction cutting, it shouldn't have any problems with closing on your fingers. So the action is nice and snappy. You can see there's even a half stop right there for safety, I suppose, but there's a half stop and then full open right there. It is kind of easy to close, and that might be my only complaint so far about this knife and how easy it is to push it closed. But that being said, on the other side, for a little slip joint style folder, if you try hard enough, you can actually kind of flick it out of the handle. Not that you'd really need to or want to do that, but it's, fidgetable. On the blade right there, we just have a couple of markings, main thing being the Monterey Bay Knives logo, the opening hole. And then very small, I don't know if it's going to really pick it up right there, but you can see the S90V steel marking on the blade, as well as our designer's name. So S. Owen, Sanford Owen. I think he's one of the head honchos at Monterey Bay Knives, so not surprising this would be one of his designs. But this knife kind of looks like a baby version of some of their other blades. Like for instance, on the table right here, I have the Sea Otter, so you can kind of see the design similarities, just side by side. Gives you an idea of the size as well, because the Sea Otter is not even a huge blade either. It's like a 3-inch blade, so putting those open side by side next to each other, you can see there's certainly a size discrepancy there. So our Sea Otter, made in the USA, but this particular model is going to be foreign production. So this one is advertised, made in China. So not really a bad thing considering what we are getting here for the price. And that's what really lets you get it for this price is our ability to use overseas manufacturing for a knife like this. And what's kind of cool about it, a couple different ways to carry it. Obviously has this really nice wire clip. So that's going to be a right-hand side carry only because, again, it's meant to go in that right-hand side watch pocket. I don't think most jeans have that on the left-hand side, now that I'm thinking about it. But you could also take that off, and there's a little lanyard hole right there, which actually is probably how I'm going to actually be carrying this knife, is with the lanyard hole, putting it on a keychain, because this also makes an excellent keychain carry knife because it's so small, it's so lightweight, and there are some other competitive options in that area, which I'll show you in just a few minutes. And honestly, this size of knife for me has been very important in my everyday carry because it goes on my keychain, and it's something that no matter what, no matter where I am, I actually have it with me. So if I forget my bigger knives or just don't have anything else available, boom, there's always a knife on my keychain. And I'll show you what I'm currently using for that purpose and what this might fit in that role as well. So right now, when I step outside the door, I decide, okay, which knife is going on the keychain. And I would say about 90% of the time, it's going to be something like this right here, a small Spyderco. This is the Spyderco Jester. So a very small, you know, again, a keychain friendly knife, and right in the same wheelhouse. Not many people are familiar with the Jester, but it's also very similar to the Spyderco Ladybug. Again, same size, different steels, things like that. But you can kind of see it's meant to be small, meant to be carried. And the Ladybug and the Jester don't even have a pocket clip option because, again, they're meant to be carried on a lanyard, on a keychain, things of that nature. So what I'm going to do is, you'll notice these little lanyard, these little keychain thingies on the back of my knives. That's how I carry my knives. So essentially, before I leave for the day on my keychain with all my keys and junk on it, I decide which knife I'm going to carry. It has a little connector like this on it, which is magnetic. And I just pick up whichever knife is going with me, and into the pocket it goes. I've never had any issue with this knife coming disconnected, but during the day, should I need a pocket knife, I just reach in my pocket, you know, pull this thing off, and we're good to go. And when it's time to put it back, it just goes right back in the pocket. The magnets find each other, and it's safe and secure. So I found this to be a really useful way to carry a keychain knife with me at all times. And so it's kind of turned out I use these little keychain knives more than anything else that I carry with me because they're, number one, they're always with me. And number two, they're so small and diminutive that you're not really alarming anyone when you do pull out a pocket knife, which can be an issue depending on where you take your knives, where you work, things like that. So I love these little keychains. These are from KeySmart. So you can see the little branding on there, hopefully. But great carry design right here. So I'm going to be putting one of these onto the WPK as well and throw this into rotation and see how it goes. Now, the only downside there is our two Spydercos. These are lock back knives. So these are locking knives, whereas the WPK might be a little more limited in the fact that it is a non-locking folder. So I have to be very, you know, cognizant of its limitations when I'm using it. But I think for the vast majority of cutting you'll do with a blade this size, I don't think being a slip joint would be necessarily a negative thing. But the design of the knife is just really well done. Has this nice, huge little groove for your finger right there. You can get a full 2-finger grip on it. So it feels good in hand, very solid, very thick little design. Compared to the Spyderco, you can kind of see the thickness there. And for a weight comparison, I know the Spydercos are really lightweight. They're like less than an ounce. But just for a real quick weight comparison, our Jester here, yeah, 0.7 ounce, less than 1 ounce. So these you don't even notice on the keychain. At a little more than 1 ounce, will you notice this knife? Maybe, but it's still within that realm. You could carry this around and not necessarily notice it in your pocket. So pretty cool design. Very glad to have been able to pick this one up. And what's also nice about picking this up, of course, little zipper pouch is cool, but it actually comes with a bunch of hardware. So if you ever lose this clip, there is a full replacement right here in the pouch. And it looks like we have enough hardware in there to replace every screw, even the pivot. If the pivot somehow falls out, you can replace everything on this knife should you need to ever do so. So that's really cool. They included that with the knife. And so what do we have to talk about now? Obviously the price. So very competitive in my opinion. Remember, we're getting titanium S90V steel. This was $85, 85 bucks. And so in comparison, a Spyderco Ladybug with VG10 steel, this retails at about 60 bucks for this little guy. And even our Jester here, this is a limited run. This one has the CPM 20CV steel, which again, super steel here too. This one was only a little bit more than that. I want to say this one was like 70-ish, 80 bucks when it came out. Maybe a little less than that. But literally for that, around that same ballpark price, you're getting an S90V steel blade and titanium handles, which is kind of cool. So with this one, of course, we get the budget FRN handles. Nothing wrong with that, and for a lightweight carry, that might be preferred. But definitely some style here, and I can see what they were going for. My only recommendations for their next run, if you could do a little frame lock with this guy, make this a locking design, this would be a total winner. I mean, it's really cool now as is, but I think it could go up to the next level with a frame lock design here. I don't know if that's possible or not. I'm not the engineer, but just an observation from a knife nerd. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Hope you all have a nice day, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.